Hey everyone, how you going? Um, Starting the webinar shortly. Just checking a few things at my end, making sure that we're all ready to go. Alrighty ho, let's kick things off. Got a few people rolling in on the webinar, so welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to be learning all about Google Search Console and what it's good for. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat, and I can answer them for you as we go, or there's a Q&A session at the end. So a little bit about who we are, Unbound. We're a Google Premier Partner. We're one of only about 23 in New Zealand, so it's a fairly sort of exclusive club. We're the only Google Premier Partner outside Auckland, and we specialize in online advertising and analytics. We've got a team of expert strategists and campaign managers who help clients achieve results with their online marketing, and work with some of New Zealand's top companies across multiple different industries. A little bit about me: I've been in the advertising and marketing space for over 17 years. Um, got certifications in Google Ads and analytics. Um, Love me a good coffee. Bit of a beard aficionado, and I've done a 205 kg max deadlift in a weightlifting comp. So today we're going to learn a little bit about Google Search Console, what it is, how to set it up on your site, some of its core features and tools that are in Google Search Console, and also how to use Google Search Console to improve your organic rankings, and also what Google Search Console can tell you. And then we've got a bit of a Q&A session at the end. So if you do have some questions about Search Console, feel free to just pop those in the chat, like I said, and we can answer those. So what is Google Search Console? So I mean, a little bit about Search Console. It's obviously Google's tool for helping with organic search rankings. So it allows you to sort of monitor things like keywords, maintain good site quality, and troubleshoot any issues you might have on your site from sort of Google's perspective. So it's obviously not just for website developers or webmasters. Um, you know, it can be used for sort of not so tech savvy people. Google have sort of designed it to try and make it as user friendly as possible. So people like marketers or even business owners can obviously jump in, and it'll help them with information to troubleshoot their site and hopefully get better search rankings. So yeah. So history of Google Search Console. So Google launched Google Webmaster Tools back in 2006, and then this was rebranded about sort of eight years ago to Google Search Console. It was really designed to bridge the gap between obviously the webmasters and Google, obviously giving webmasters the ability to troubleshoot information on their site, so that they could help improve the search rankings and sort of give a bit more visibility of what what they could be do to improving their site from Google's perspective. So it obviously provides some continuous updates and feature additions for improved site analysis. And recently, they've obviously added the Core Web Vitals, which is around how the user experience and the speed of your site back in 2020. So obviously, always looking at ways to visualize it. Another one, sort of reasonably recently, was kind of things like video, on-page video, and also the shopping feature, which allows us to sort of see more details around about how your products, if you've got an e-commerce shop, are ranking in Google. So why use Search Console? So obviously it's really there to understand and improve how Google sees your site. So like we said before, it's kind of that interface between Google and the business or the website developer. So you can sort of monitor the sort of clicks and rankings of different keywords, and obviously make informed decisions about where you're appearing and what you're appearing for, and what pages are ranking well on your site. It obviously also alert you to any issues on your site. So there's lots of different sort of features within Google Search Console which will allow you to sort of investigate those um, issues, and then obviously you can then find ways of improving those to help your site rank better. Um, and it also shows links back to your site or internal linking within your site. So Google um, still requires, or still a ranking factor from Google is still backlinks, and so obviously that's still an important thing that businesses should be looking at doing. And so within Search Console, you can actually see what backlinks your site does have, um, and you can obviously then analyze those to determine if they're good quality or not, or look to get more backlinks to your site. So uses for Google Search Console. So obviously we talked a little bit about the performance analysis, what you're ranking for and how to rank better. Um, you can also obviously get some search insights. It's important to sort of understand how users find your website, um, and potentially where in the world they are. You can look at optimizing, content. Are there specific pages that are getting the traffic to the site, or is it just one particular page that ranks really well and that's the one that's getting all the traffic? Mobile usability, I mean, obviously super important these days. Most people use mobile to view sites, so how friendly is your site with mobile users? And then looking at site health, are there any sort of security issues or spam issues on your site? You're going to see those in Search Console. Your index coverage, how many of your pages are actually being indexed? Are there some pages that aren't being indexed that should be? You can sort of see that. And then, as I said before, you've got that backlink analysis for site links to your site. So we'll just start by going through how to set up Search Console. A lot of people may not have done this or don't know how to do this. Maybe they've heard about Google Search Console. I guess the easiest thing to do is just Google Search Console, and then go to the Google Search Console website, and you can just click that Start Now button. If you've got a Google account, just log in with that, and then once you've logged in, you can then add a property to the Google Search Console. So you just go down. If you don't have any existing properties, you can just add a property. And then you'll be asked to choose between whether you want a domain verification or a URL prefix. So the key difference is the domain verification will cover all URLs across all subdomains. So the HTTP version, the HTTPS version, www, non-www, plus others. So if you've got like an M dot for a mobile site, things like that, this version of verification will cover all of those, but it requires a verification through the DNS. So it's a little bit more complicated, where the URL option, it'll only be the URL that you've entered. So if you've only got HTTPS :// dot and then your domain name, it'll only verify that one, and it'll only collect the search results for that particular URL. It's a little bit easier to verify. And the easiest way to do it is, if you're doing it via that method, the URL method, is just to copy and paste the URL that you get in Google when your website finally goes there. So hopefully that's been set up correctly with all the redirects to that final URL. So verifying the website. So if you're doing it via the URL method, there's a number of different ways you can verify it. You can obviously get an HTML file, which you can upload into the root directory of your site. Most people use the HTML tag version, which you just paste into the header section of your website. You can also verify through Google Analytics or Google Tag Manager. The only caveat with these two is they must be, the code of that Google Analytics or the Google tag must be located in the correct location. And you can also verify through the domain name provider using the DNS record. If you're going to do this method, you may as well just verify the domain, because that's the way that you verify that, is just adding a text record to your DNS. Like I said, it's a bit more complicated, but it's obviously recommended as it covers all the versions of the URL. So once you've actually done this, you then go through and then you'll have your Search Console account verified. And you'll be able to see down the left-hand side, you've got a menu which has a whole bunch of different options. And then in the center of that, in the overview section, you'll have some kind of key metrics and alerts for your site. So it may take a couple of days once you've actually verified this to actually have that data coming through. So if you have started, and added the property just now, you may have to wait a couple of days for this data to come through before it actually gives you any of this information. So really the core features and tools within Search Console. So you've got the performance report, and that's really the go-to place for understanding your search traffic. It obviously breaks down your search kind of performance of the site, so you can look at the search terms, the pages, the geography, etc., and actually sort of understand the behavior of the users and how they're coming to your site from search. We've got the URL inspection tool, and then this is kind of the thing where you can kind of get a view of what Google's sort of seeing, or what Google sees when it crawls a particular URL. So it'll see is the page that you're looking at, actually being indexed. What sort of information is it getting back when it crawls your site? So you can look at using that to troubleshoot, specific URLs. There's the coverage report, and this looks at obviously, your kind of indexing. So are the, which pages are being indexed, what pages aren't being indexed. If you're sort of expecting all pages to be indexed or only some of them. There's also your sitemaps in that section, so you can submit your sitemap to Google, so that you're basically telling Google what pages you've got on your site and which ones should be indexed or not. There's some mobile usability reports, which are going to help with kind of things like page experience. There's the shopping tab, which again, if you're running an e-commerce site, it'll tell you information about what products are being seen by Google, what sort of product schema can be seen by Google on those pages. And then obviously if you've linked Search Console to your Merchant Center, you can go through to that to look at your free and paid search listings. There's also some sort of manual action. So these are penalties against your site if you've violated any policies. And then you've got the links report, which looks at both your internal and your external links. So you can obviously see how well you're doing there. So really, there's a whole lot of tools and features that are available to sort of provide some insights and guidance and sort of actionable steps on how to optimize your website, and it's about understanding these sort of tools so that you can sort of help improve your site's performance in Google. So we're just going to go through some of these now so that you've got a better understanding about how to use them to benefit your website. So we'll sort of start with the performance report. This is probably the place you'll spend kind of maybe 70-80% of your time. This is kind of the real, the real meat in the sandwich. This is really where you're going to find out what terms, what queries, um, you're appearing for, what pages, etc. And you can sort of see the search trend. So in this example here, we've got a website um, sort of from about end of July through to a few days ago. So we can see that over time we've had both an increase in clicks and an increase in impressions for this website over the last sort of 3 months. So we can also look at um, adding in to the filter. Just go back, adding into the filter different elements to sort of segment and manipulate the data, so we can get an idea about how we can improve it. So this report's really telling us what are our top queries by clicks, impressions, and ranking. We can also see those top pages and what pages are ranking for different queries. We can also look at comparing previous periods. So as an example, like I was saying, we can sort of add different queries at the top here in this section. So for this particular one, we've added spreader that this company does fertilizer spreaders, and so we can sort of see that over time, over the last 3 months, they've had a little bit of a fluctuation in their impressions for this, but very recently they've sort of seen quite an uptick in clicks for this term, and that could be some seasonality in that particular thing. But what this means is we can sort of zone in on specific queries that contain that search term to see what sort of is happening with that. So if we scroll further down the page, we can see that in this query we've got a whole bunch of different search terms that we're sort of appearing for, but they're all related to this one single topic. We could go a little bit further and actually look at just say seed spreader, which would include only that keyword. And then at the top here, we could look at segmenting it further between, web or images or different types of searches, or changing the date period. So we can sort of start to use this tool to manipulate the data and see what we can find. Going further, we can sort of see that for this query or these queries, what pages are ranking the most. We can sort of see that most of the searches are coming through to the category page, where a few are coming through to the specific product pages. So it's just about exploring the data in different ways to see what sort of story it's telling you. So if we jump into the URL inspection tool, and we've taken one of that collections page off the website, and we've pasted it into the inspection tool, and as we can see that it gets some green ticks. So the URL is on Google, so that means it's been indexed. The mobile usability is good, and that it's been detected for logo on that URL. So really it's a case of if you put a URL into this and you got this marked as not indexed, then obviously you can then go through and find out why that isn't being indexed. It could be being blocked by robots or some other reason, but you can then explore that to find out how you can improve the indexing of that page. So if we come in here into the indexing section of the site, which is the next one down on the left hand menu, we can see that like most of the pages on the site are not actually being indexed, and that's actually fine by and large, because a lot of these pages are pages that we don't actually want to be indexed. They're actually the duplicates of these 692 pages, or there are other pages that, admin type pages or login pages that we don't want necessarily to be indexed. So in terms of pages that we do want to be indexed, this number matches up to the number that we do actually want to be seen on the site. So, but it's important to note how many pages you are actually wanting to be indexed. If you know how many pages you do have on your site and that number doesn't match this number, then there may need to be some investigation into why those pages that you're wanting to be indexed are not being indexed. And submitting your sitemap can help with that indexing. Obviously, a sitemap is a file that provides information like pages, videos, and other files on your site and relationships between them. So it's a bit of a map so that it'll help Google get around. And the search engines like Google read this file to more intelligently crawl the site. So it's really a case of like if you've submitted your sitemap and there are pages that maybe Google find difficult to crawl because maybe they're not linked to other pages, this will help Google know where they are in relation to other pages on the site and obviously crawl those pages. So as I said, it's about improving your crawlability of your site. It can also, if you've got dynamic sitemaps set up on your website, it can also help get those pages indexed faster, so that if you are generating, new pages, new content, blogs, etc., and your sitemap gets updated when you update those things, and Google looks at your sitemap regularly, then it'll see those new pages appear and obviously add them to the index faster. It also provides better organization for the search engine. One thing Google likes is organization, so that helps, and obviously it enhanced visibility. Particularly important sites with pages that aren't easily discoverable during the crawl process. So how do you submit a sitemap to Google? So as we saw on that left-hand menu, there was a section for sitemaps. So you can find the sitemap. Try going to your domain /sitemap.xml, and then that should be your site domain. If you don't know what that is, look at your website platform's documentation, and that should hopefully help you find out what your sitemap is. If you don't know, just reach out to us, and we can have a look at that for you and find out what your sitemap is. And then obviously going to your Google Search Console, selecting the website and then clicking on the sitemaps under your index tab, and then just submitting that URL there and clicking submit, and then that will submit that sitemap. So the next sort of menu down is removals. So you can obviously request temporary removal of URLs. So useful if you're sensitive content or your site's been hacked, if you obviously don't want Google to look at specific URLs, or if you want to just remove outdated content completely. I mean, Google will obviously look at particularly things that you're not wanting to crawl anymore, or you want crawled anymore. You can actually just have those leave there, and Google will see that you're not updating that content, and it will not put as much priority on that. You can also have safe search filtering, so identifying and understanding URLs flagged under Google Safe Search. So if you go here and you do have some content that isn't necessarily appropriate or flagged for age or that sort of thing, it'll appear under there. So it's obviously key to just be proactive about managing your site's presence online, and obviously addressing any inappropriate content, where possible, under the removals tab. So if we go through to page experience and Core Web Vitals, so this is all about how easy it is to use your site. So we can sort of see under page experience, you've got a sort of a score. So we're sort of saying 24.1% of URLs have a good page experience on mobile and 28.8% on desktop. And then there's some other information down here where you can click into to open the report to find out which pages having a good experience and which ones maybe you need to improve on. So really, page experience offers those kind of key insights about the user experience and identifies ways that you can improve that website optimization. And you can look at tracking performance over time. So if you are making improvements to your site, you'll be able to see those over time improving. So Core Web Vitals. So this is really where Google looks at your kind of speed um, of your site, and so which is important on mobile. And so we can see in the Core Web Vitals tab of this website, we've got 244 URLs which have a poor mobile site speed, and then we've got 15 URLs that are that need improvement, and then 82 which are good. So there's a little bit of work needing to be done on these pages in terms of site speed, and so it's really a case of looking at the report here to go through and see what needs to be done and how we can improve that. So we keep going down the left-hand side menus. If you've got an e-commerce and you've connected your merchant center through to your search console, you'll have a shopping tab. So don't be alarmed if you don't see the shopping tab if you're a service-based business or something. And this really shows you your product snippets. So any product-related information coming through, and it'll also look at linking your merchant center and showing any issues with your merchant center feed in that tab. And there'll be a link to the shopping tab and linking to your merchant center, so you can go through and make those changes in your merchant center. So manual actions, again, moving further down the left-hand menu. Manual actions are penalties that basically Google's made against your site if you've breached one of its guidelines. Obviously, these can impact your rankings and your visibility. So they'll appear in this section here. And really, it's kind of looking at these on a regular basis to see how they can be fixed, and obviously resubmitted to Google once they have been fixed. You'll also see any security issues. So if you do have, if you do have some security issues on your site, things like, any hacking or malware, which obviously may put users at risk, Google will let you know there. So it's really about monitoring this section here, the manual actions and security section on your site reasonably regularly, so that you can, make any changes needed to the site, whether it be removing malware or, updating any issues, policy issues, so that you can resubmit to Google and get them to get your site ranking again. And then as we go down, so we get to the links section, and there's really two different types of links. There's your external links and your internal links. And your external links are those that are coming from other sites, where your internal links are those coming from within your site. So the top report here shows which pages are actually getting those external links, and then under that you've got obviously which sites are linking to you. So in this case we can see, we've got 299 links coming from yellow.co.nz, and they're going through to one of these pages in this top report here. And then on the right hand side we've got a link of top linked pages that are linking to other pages on the site. So both external links and internal links are important, are both ranking signals within Google. So it's important to be looking at these two and making sure that you're finding both external links but also internal links within your site. Right, so we also have the settings section. So this is kind of really where you can be adding new users, or new site owners to Webmaster Tools. It's also important to make sure you're linking this to Google Analytics so that the Search Console data can appear in your Google Analytics console as well. Just centralizing that data so that you can actually see within Google Analytics the Search Console information as well. If you are moving your URL, there is a SEO transition section as well, so you can actually notify Google that your domain name has been changed. And if you really want to sort of be looking at your data in a lot more detail, you can even export your data to BigQuery so that you can manipulate it however you want. There's also a section in there which tells you your crawl status. So is it being crawled by Google or not? When the last date it was actually crawled. So that's in the settings tab. So do we have any questions about any specific Google Search Console issues, or anything I didn't cover in as much detail as you wanted to? If you want me to go back and look at a specific section again in a bit more detail, sort of race through that fairly sort of rapidly. So we got a few people on the stream, so hopefully someone's got a good question, challenge that maybe they've run into. Probably look at bringing over a live demo if you'd like. I'm going to pick on any particular client. Probably look at just looking at letting it all sort of out there with our own Search Console. So just a few sort of points to note, like if I show you, like we've got the domain property here, but then we've also got two other versions of that URL. So as I said, if you verify via the domain property, you're going to include all of those in the search. So if we look at things we can do with the performance reports in a bit more detail, so we can obviously add these different metrics to the report. We can click up here to increase things like the time frame of the report. We can add in different things like different queries. To then filter that data in a bit more detail and look for trends. Then we can see what sort of pages are ranking for that specific term under here. Or which countries we're ranking in. So you'd hope to see New Zealand at the top of the, if you're based in New Zealand, and even what devices you're appearing on, whether it's their desktop, mobile, tablet. So, and then if we're looking at the sitemap side of things, just to clarify that in a little bit more detail, you can just add a new sitemap there with the URL, and then it'll show you the sitemaps that have been submitted, what date they were submitted, when they were last read, and if that status was successful. So we have down here, obviously this one had crawled a couple of days ago and it had an error on it. So obviously something you can look at. And then in terms of the core web vitals, you know, so good URLs, and then the mobile user experience. So, you know, we can sort of see there were some that had some issues back in August, but they've been resolved. So all the URLs that we're seeing in this report are all usable. And if we can go down to the manual actions, you can see there's no issues detected. There's no security issues. So we're all looking pretty good. And then the link section on the site, we can sort of see that the top link page is the home page of the site. You know, we're getting a lot from these sites here. The top linking text, so what the anchor text is, and then we can also see what the top link pages are across the site. So there's kind of lots to explore and actually find out, you know, the different sections of the in Search Console. But like I said, I probably spend most of my time looking at segmenting this data in this report here, so that you can sort of like find out what queries or searches you're appearing for. Right. So is there any more questions from anyone watching on the stream that we can help with? Don't be shy. Always happy to help answer some specific issues that people have, or if there's anything they want me to show them specifically within the Search Console interface. So we've got another webinar coming up next month for those that want to get some planning underway for 2024. We've got a Success Tomorrow plan today. We're going to look at a marketing planning framework so that people can start making a plan for next year. So that's 29th of November. That'll be our last webinar for this year. And then obviously we've got some more planned for next year. So when those come through, we'll update the event calendar, and we'll get that out through to our list. If you want to keep up to date with that, you can sign up for our email newsletter, and we usually put those out when we set those up, so that people know when they're coming, so they can book and make sure they keep updated. If you do have any specific questions and you're just a bit shy, to talk about them, you can obviously book a strategy call, and we can go into anything specific. With in regards to your search console, you can sort of add media search console. I can have a bit of a look around and see if I can sort the problems out that you might be having with that. So just jump online, go.udm.nz/ book with Q. And if you enjoyed the webinar, if you found it useful, feel free to leave us a review. Just go to review.unbound.nz. Always appreciate when we get some good feedback. Obviously, we do these free webinars once a month, and so it's good to get that feedback for the work that we put into doing these. Obviously, it'll just be encouragement for us to keep doing them going forward next year. So if no one has any final questions that they want to talk about, then we'll sort of close it off here, and call it a day. Let's wait. There's usually a little bit of a lag on the between me talking and the stream, so I'll give it another 30 seconds and see what they see if there's anything coming through. No, I don't think we've got any further questions, so feel free to reach out. If you do have anything else, like I said, you can book a strategy call or just flick me an email. Oh, thanks, Lindley. Thanks to everyone that was on the webinar. It was great to have you on board, and we'll see you again soon.